Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the world of football, where today Dad and I will be talking with a special guest about the indoor football league as we've reached about the halfway point of their season. Before we bring in our guest, Dad, how are you doing? And what kind of indoor football you've been watching lately?
I've been watching no indoor football because I'm too cheap to pay for the app. So I've just seen a few highlights on YouTube and social media here and there. It's been some good highlights, but no, I haven't seen a whole lot. That's why we're bringing in the expert on the indoor football league to educate us on what's going on in the indoor football league this year.
Well, I mean, let's not wait any longer to bring on said expert. That would be our buddy Trey from Off the Wall. There he is. Look at that handsome mug wearing a Ninja Turtle shirt. I dig it. Buddy, how
Bunga,
you doing? It's
dudes.
been a bit.
I'm all right, man. I appreciate you guys having me on once again. We checked in before the season, checking in at the mid-season. I'm sure we'll check in right around the playoffs like we did last year. So it's always a blast chopping it up with y'all, and I appreciate the invite.
Hey, no, we appreciate having you on because I mean, I can't think of anybody in the arena/indoor sphere that has as many screens going at a singular moment as you do on a Friday or Saturday night. We tried to emulate it with Arena Football 1 games, but it is still nowhere near what you do with NAL, IFL, and AF1 games. So,
Yeah,
Trey, you are the master, and no one does it like you.
it's not easy. It's not for the weak. You really got to be strong-willed. You have to be mentally ready for warfare. I think what 3 weeks ago, I think I had like 13 games on at once between
Ooh.
3 screens, and I was like, look, this is too much for even me. Like, I'll do my best, but I'm gonna have to rewatch some of these things a little bit later.
So then my question off of that is, which ones do you decide to like use the audio for, or do you just have a cacophony of 13 games at a single moment that you just got to
No,
sift through?
I would go insane if they were 13 audios. I usually just go with like whatever game is closest to being finished, or like whatever's looking like a one possession game in the fourth quarter. Have that one until that ends, and then hop over to the next one and go that route. But yeah, it's usually vibes. No real science to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
our
how is
record is three. Just three
Oh,
for us. That's our
three, okay.
record. Yeah, three at one time.
and then the other question would be is how does everybody else in the household take you watching 13 games at a single time? Because I know in my household I have 2 games up, one on my phone, one on the TV, and that's pushing it.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of politicking that goes into it, and in order to get that moment of zen, it's got to be earned elsewhere. So yeah, it's definitely earned, and we wait all day for Saturday night. That's what they say. So
I love it. Oh man, this is great. This is the kind of content I live for, just so everybody knows. But all right, let's kind of work our way into what we're here to talk about. That's the Indoor Football League. They have just completed week 9 of their season out of, what is it? They have 19 weeks total, I think, on the schedule.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, so we're at that sweet spot, about the midpoint now, where we're kind of starting to get a good feeling of what some of these teams are and what some of these teams aren't. But I want to start by asking with something we talked about the last time we kind of got on together, and that's the IFL network. Their streaming platform that they introduced. There's a lot of hoopla when that first came out. Now that we're 9 weeks into the season, Trey, since you clearly have all these games popping up at a single time, and I let that free trial expire because I was having issues personally with some of the casting and some other little bugs here and there, which I don't know if it was my device, if it was just the app still, being a new app and trying to work through its own kinks. What has your experience been like with the IFL Network app, and what can you tell everybody who hasn't subscribed to it yet? Is it even worth it right now?
I think so. I think the quality of the games has been really good. Then the streams have been nice for the most part as well. There have been some hiccups along the way, like you mentioned, but that's to be expected. I think the worst one was this past week. Quad City was playing Tulsa. Tulsa was up by 8. Quad City has the ball. They're driving down the field. 1 minute left. Stream ends. It just cuts off. And then it comes back on. They scored a touchdown. We have no idea how. So that's like been the nightmare experience. Like, that's the worst of the worst so far. But that's like 1 out of 45, 50 games that they've had. So for the most part, they've been pretty good. I will say some of the features that have been alluded to and talked about, not really on the platform. They mentioned multiple times, whether it be directly from the IFL itself or from like some coaches shows that people are trying to build up hype for it. They talked about multi-screen viewing, where you can have multiple games on at one time. Hello, that would make my life a lot easier if we can get a automatic quad box, so that way I don't have to make my own on 4 different browsers. That hasn't been a thing. They've been talking about a bunch of different types of content that is going to be available on the IFL network. After week 1, they haven't done an Inside the IFL with the commissioner since week 1.
Wow.
So it's like all this content that they've been hyping and talking about, it's just not there. So I think the quality of the product is there. They haven't really delivered on some of the features and bells and whistles yet. I get it. It is year 1. They're still working through things. They're still getting things figured out, but quality is there. Just all the bells and whistles not there yet.
Yeah, because that would be so cool to have the use of the quad box and some of these other features. Like I even downloaded. They finally came out with like the Google Play, the Apple iOS apps, and still buggy. And like I said, that was kind of what made me cancel my free trial, because I was almost willing to pay that $30 a month. But it's just anytime I tried to cast it, I have a 70-inch TV for a reason to watch football games on primarily, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's been tough, and it's just a big miss not having all those things right at the beginning of the year either. Where initially when the season started, it was like, all right, you can watch it on your laptop. Okay, what about Adam's 70-inch TV? what about that? So it's like the Roku app isn't there yet. Like all these different apps for all these smart TVs, it's just not there yet. So again, it is year 1. They're still working through everything. The games themselves have been really good for the most part. But yeah, you could tell it has the potential to be something great. It doesn't seem like they're fully committed to it yet.
Okay. And like, how would you rate your experience with, say, how the IFL's been doing things compared to how the other couple of leagues you cover have been doing it? Is there one you think stands out, or is it a bit of everybody's kind of got their own special thing, and it's all kind of apples and oranges?
I'd say quality-wise, the IFLs have been how should I say this? The average IFL stream is better than the average stream of some of the other leagues. Where some like AF1, for example, Albany streams, they're going to be great. Billings streams are pretty good. Southwest Kansas streams, pretty good. You start going into some other areas, and it suddenly gets not so good very quickly. That you don't really have that drop off in the IFL, and it's expected with the AF1. They're literally in year 1 working through their own stuff. NAL stuff, they've had their own saga with streams and YouTube and the whole channel going down. So that's a whole nother thing where it's like, all right, y'all got to take care of what's in your house first. But yeah, I think the IFL streams have been really strong, and it's lining up to be a really strong finish to the season.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they look like in year 2 of the IFL network app, because maybe by then, maybe they realize they could lower the price a little bit or add some tiers like you've suggested before.
Yeah.
Anything else on this subject, Dad, before we move along, or you got your own questions?
No, I'm jotting down some questions for later, so I'm good right now.
Oh, for later. Okay. Well, we'll get done with the IFL network talk. I know we spent a lot of time with it. The last time we talked, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time. I at least wanted to get a nice, idea of where we are right now. So I guess I'll leave it with Trey. Should I come back to this app? Should I pay the $30, or do you think I'm good by just keeping up with the highlights they've been putting out?
I think the way some of these playoff races are shaping up, there's going to be some very good games down the line, and not just good games, but games that mean something. Where like there were some games last year where like week 17, week 18, it was like, all right, we got 12-2 facing 1-10. Like this is just going to be an absolute beatdown. But the way some of these playoff races are heating up, like you look in the Eastern Conference right now, the top 4, you're looking at 6-2, 5-3, 5-2, 5-2. That's gonna get like they're gonna beat each other up down the line, and it's gonna be a ton of fun to watch.
And what a perfect transition. Let's look at some of the standings right now for the Indoor Football League as we've reached this midway point of the season. As Trey just alluded to, in the Eastern Conference, they have Quad City at 6-2, the Green Bay Blizzard at 5-3, Jacksonville Sharks at 5-2, Tulsa Oilers 5-2, Massachusetts Pirates and Fishers Freight at 2-5, and the Iowa Barnstormers at 1-6. In that Western Conference, the Arizona Rattlers at 6-1, Bay Area Panthers at 5-2, Vegas Nighthawks at 4-3, San Diego Strike Force and Tucson Sugar Skulls at 3-4, San Antonio Gunslingers at 2-5, and the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 1-6. And that leads me to this question, Trey. I mean, at the beginning of the year, you had talked about, because I believe we asked you, what teams did we see, or did you see coming into this season, coming on upward trajectory, and which ones do you see maybe going on a downward trajectory? And I don't know if you remember this, but you mentioned the Sharks on the upward and the Pirates on the downward. And if you look at those standings, I'd say you got that right, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Sharks in particular, they've already matched their win total from last year. It's week 9 going into week 10. They've got 9 more weeks of football here to build on that. So the Sharks have just been really, really good on defense. I know that's not something you traditionally talk about with indoor arena football, but Sharks defense has been incredible. They got the number 1 scoring defense in the league, 23 forced turnovers on the year through what they play 7 games so far. That's really good. 16 interceptions, 5 more than the second most in Bay Area. They've got 11. So they have a really good defense that is opportunistic and really able to take advantage of turnovers and really flip the momentum of a game in an instance. And the Sharks offense truthfully has not been that good up until the past 2 games or so. They've been very turnover prone themselves. So it's like they were at a point, I think they were 3-2, and a couple of those losses were because the offense couldn't take care of the ball. The defense was doing their job, but the offense was just giving it away. So these past 2 games, they've been laying it on teams. They just laid it on Fishers. They just laid it on Iowa a couple weeks back. And if you look at that turnover battle, they were a lot more protective with the ball. So it's like that's clearly the key. Like any level of football, don't turn over the ball and get turnovers. That usually results in a good outcome.
And embarrassing for the Fishers Freight, the team we've kind of adopted here, getting beaten by a team wearing tie-dye jerseys last week.
Yeah, that was tough. that was a tough look.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Dad, we all saw your Fishers Freight license plate you got over there on your board.
Well, there are 2 helmets right behind you, and I've got those also.
I do. I don't think you can see the other one in the frame. The other one's there, and then I got the Fishers Freight official beer can right up there too.
Nice,
so
very nice.
So had to make sure to snag that.
You drank that beer, and I just picked one up on my way out that was laying in between a couple seats.
Hey, you saved yourself $14 that way. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
or whatever it was.
But to touch on the Pirates real quick, I didn't realize I didn't touch on them. For the Pirates, they've really been struggling this year, and it starts at the quarterback position. Kenji Bahar, who you may know from his time in the USFL, he's not been good. Like, I hate saying it, but it's just the case. If you look at his stats, you would say like, but Trey, he has 13 rushing touchdowns, second most in the league. What are you talking about? Numbers are liars sometimes, guys. Nearly every single one of those has come off of a classic tush-push situation where the ball's on the 1, hike it, big man behind him pushes him into the end zone. When you look at his passing stats, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, not a very good ratio, 7 games into the season, and he truthfully just doesn't pass the eye test. Like, if you watch him play and watch how he goes through things, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, why? This cannot possibly be the best option for a team like Mass that has a ton of talent all over the field, and they just need somebody to be a facilitator. They don't need someone to play hero ball. They need someone to hike the ball, get it to the all IFL wide receiver that's on the right, get it to the other all IFL wide receiver that's on the left, and let them cook, let them do their thing. And that just hasn't been the case in Massachusetts.
Well, since we've already kind of touched on, I mean, you were correct about these 2 teams, from your early season predictions. So sitting here halfway through the year, what is a team or teams that you feel like have been the biggest surprise, whether that be in a positive way or a negative way?
Yeah, there's definitely been a couple that have been in a positive way and a negative way. But if we're looking for a good surprise, Tucson has been a good surprise over the past couple of games. First couple games of the season, it looked like, oh no, same old Tucson. 3 different starting quarterbacks in the first 3 games. That's never a good ratio. You don't want that. But ever since George Reyna has settled in as QB1, that offense is starting to turn a corner and putting folks on notice. And that defense has been really good going back to last year. But the offense was just never in the same stratosphere as them. But now the offense has caught up. And it's like, okay, this team could cause a little bit of trouble. Arizona Rattlers have lost one game. Those two, the Tucson Sugar Skulls. So Tucson can lay it on you, and they're not sneaking up on teams anymore. Teams are very well aware of what they're capable of, and player to watch that I think has potential to take a jump to the next level. Putting it on tape now. Running back Jameis Williams. This guy is fast. He runs with authority, and when it looks like, what are those things called in the airports where it's like a walkway. Like it's like a moving walk. Is it just a moving walkway?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Moving sidewalk.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine everyone else is walking next to a moving sidewalk, but this guy's running on the moving sidewalk. That's what it looks like sometimes when he's running with the ball. He's just so much faster than everyone else on the field, and he's someone where it's like, man, I would not be surprised to see him get a bump up at some point. But talking on a team that surprised in the wrong way, probably looking at San Diego Strike Force. I was really optimistic about them heading into the season. Nate Davis been in the indoor game for a long time. Their wide receiver group was very good, very talented, returning some key pieces on defense. The offense has just not been as explosive as you would think. They're sitting at 3-4 right now. They've let a couple games slip through their fingertips where it's like, man, they should have had that. Like this most recent week against San Antonio, they ended up losing by 1. They ended up going to overtime. That game should have never been in overtime. Like San Diego, it was the better team roster wise. Like you go like from quarterback all the way down. San Diego should have won that game, but they just didn't. So they've had some injuries at wide receiver. It's made it a little bit tricky when you have an offense that's as pass heavy as theirs is. But yeah, they're one that's definitely disappointing for the wrong reasons.
Anything dead, or are we still waiting on your question? Are you saving something special?
No. I just you talk about these
just
teams.
Quiet.
Tucson is the team that I picked in our preseason picks to win it all, just because they're going to host a championship game down there this year. So, it was a little disheartening at the early part of the season. They weren't doing very well at all, but like you said, they're coming on now. So there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance that this team might make it to the championship game, or at least make the playoffs. So that's good. But Northern Arizona has surprised me because they won it all just a couple years ago, and they finally won their first game last week. I mean, we've been talking about that all season long, that they're the only one without a win, and we really wanted them to get that 0 off their scorecard, and they finally did. So we were very happy about that.
Is there? I don't know how well you look. How far of the schedule you look at, Trey, to see kind of where these teams could be going? Do you think there's any of these teams that are maybe sitting at the bottom that could maybe start trending upwards and making a push and making this interesting down the stretch to get into the postseason?
Yeah, I think in the early part of the season, they get the majority of the interconference games done. Like there's a couple on the back end that are pretty much going to be inconsequential. But for the most part, on the second half of the season, it's going to be a lot of West versus West, East versus East. And that creates some welcomed chaos in the standings where a team that's sitting at 3-4 can suddenly jump to 4-4 and drop that other team down to 4-4, and they're neck and neck, right? So we're gonna have some good matchups, but honestly, Northern Arizona, they've been pretty good, all things considered. Like you look at their 1-6 record, you're like, Trey, what are you talking about? But their quarterback play again through the first 5 games of the season was so bad. It was just not good. It wasn't a similar situation to Mass, but it was one where they just needed somebody to be middle of the road, and they probably win 2 or 3 of those games. And it just wasn't at that level. So Ramon Atkins played for Tucson a few years ago, played for Duke City a few years ago, I believe, and then played in Nashville last year for a little bit with the Cats. He went over. He just began with the team because he had to wait for his something with his day job to allow him the flexibility to come play. Big weird thing. So that's why he hasn't played until week 9 of the season. But yeah, he's in there. He's really the straw that stirs the drink in Northern Arizona, and he seems to be putting that offense on the right path. And if they got a win in his very first game, and you could tell they were still working through some kinks, they could be one that plays spoiler for some teams and makes a little bit of noise down the road.
You've mentioned a few players here and there. I'm liking hearing that. Is there anybody in particular, have you not mentioned it, or that you have already mentioned, that do you think could be the front runner or front runners for the league MVP this year.
Yeah, I think so. Unsurprisingly, they all play the quarterback position. So it's a quarterback heavy award, no matter what level of football you're looking at. For me, there's a couple that stand out. One of them is Quad City quarterback Daquan Neal. Daquan Neal has been really, really good. And Quad City last year, they were another team where the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. They were alternating between two different guys, and they just couldn't get one to stick. But him coming in and being that dual threat while also supplying that big play pass has fit in with Quad City perfectly. 21 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 8 rushing touchdowns. He's missed a couple of games, but I think that might actually help his MVP case, because in games that he starts, Quad City is 6-0. In games that he does not, they're 0-2. So you look at the term valuable, most valuable player, that might say it all right there. We're like, hey, when this guy plays, they win. When he doesn't, they don't. That provides a lot of value. So I think that's one way you could look at it. It depends on how much more time he misses. But over in Green Bay, quarterback Max Mailer, he looks really, really good. And I think Green Bay is going to go on a tear over the next 4 or 5 weeks of the season. 26 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. All of those came in one game, just one bad game. So you take away that one game, he's sitting at like 24 touchdowns and no interceptions. Pretty good. And he's a big dude, and he's a threat to run the ball in the red zone. Then you look at guys like TJ Edwards and Dalton Sneed from the past few seasons, who just continue to do what they do, both through the air and on the ground. So I think it's an interesting race, but it's way too early to call. We're only at the halfway point, but those are some names to look at, because I think if they were giving out the award right now, it would have to go to one of those 4.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is a good time to hear some of these names, get ideas some of these names, so that when we go down the stretch, we can really keep our ears perked up for how these guys, end up performing. So, and for everything I've seen, the Quad City Green Bay rivalry has been pretty good so far this year. I'm actually curious to see them go at it another time or two the rest of the season. And the last thing I got on my notes, Dad, again, don't know what you got on yours, but I wanted to kind of have us all touch base on our early season prediction. We already kind of talked about what you predicted, Dad, but, and see if anybody wants to change their mind on who they chose to win the IFL National Championship this year. And for those of you who didn't see our last video, here's a quick little taste of who everybody picked. I'm going to take the underdog, brand new team, the Fishers Freight.
The team that I'm looking at this year is going to be the Tucson Sugar Skulls, and I'll tell you why.
I think Vegas is going to end up winning it. I think they just have way too much talent.
So yeah, I took the Fishers Freight. Not looking so hot there. Obviously, Dad took the Sugar Skulls. We talked about them, and Trey is sticking with Vegas. Are we still feeling these teams, guys? Does anybody want to change?
I'll stick with Tucson.
Okay, Randy's riding it out. Let's go.
That's right. I was going to pick Fishers also, because we were just very excited about Fishers Freight, and so I 2-0. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna win it all this year, and I think you picked before I did, Adam, and you picked Fishers, so I couldn't pick the same team.
You couldn't do it?
No. I had to pick a different one.
Well, unfortunately for me, and since we went to that game in week 2, they've lost 5 straight games, so we might have ended up jinxing them. Maybe me predicting them winning the whole thing jinxed them. So I'm debating on changing my pick to who I originally said, which was the easy pick, which was the Arizona Rattlers. But you know what, Fishers? I have faith that you could bounce back. There's still a lot of season left to play. I got your merch right here. I got the the rally towel still. I'm still gonna. You know what? I'll stick with Fishers. I ain't gonna back out.
I respect your courage and bravery, Adam. I respect it. It's certainly a choice. It's not a choice I would make, but I'm happy you made that choice.
Yep, me too.
I'm going to stick with Vegas as well. I think Vegas started off rough, but they've really shown what they can be over the past couple of weeks. Jerome Johnson had a rough start to the season, but he's looked like 2024 Jerome Johnson, who won the league MVP last year. So I think he's looking really good. The offense is coming to form. The defense has been playing really well. They lost a tough one against Arizona, but you can make the case that they definitely should have won that game. But if you were looking for some options to switch to, my suggestions would be Green Bay, I think Green Bay has a very strong offense.
Yeah.
They put up 74 twice this season, 74 points twice. And then they're getting some reinforcements on defense. Some all IFL folks are coming back to the team after taking some time away. So they're going to be loading up for this back half of the season. Tulsa, you can't rule out TJ Edwards at any point. He's going to be really, really good down the stretch. And then Bay Area has looked unbelievable for the past 3 or 4 weeks, playing strong defense, playing really great offense as well. So if you were looking for some options, that's what I would say, hypothetically.
I'll stick with Fishers just because I feel like I shouldn't cop out, even though I did technically say Arizona at first last time, so I could always edit the footage to say that I picked Arizona if this all backfires in the next video. So yeah. I'll stick with Fishers. I'm hoping Dixie Wooten gets that team turned around. Dad's favorite player, JT Stokes, or TJ as Dad likes to call him. Get that ship righted over there. So. Yeah. But, I mean, I would certainly... There's a lot of teams I would love to see make it into the postseason that haven't been there. Like the Jacksonville Sharks, Tulsa Oilers. I think it'd be great to see them get in the postseason. So those are kind of like my dark horse kind of in the back of my... in the back there, just, hey, I'm going to root for you too. So,
yeah.
But I'm going to keep Fishers up here for right now. I'll pull for Fishers. And they kind of got the same color scheme as us here at the World of Football, which I didn't realize until just this moment.
Yeah, I was about to say you might need to send them a cease and desist. Like, hey guys, knock it off.
I don't know. They treated us real nice when we went there.
That's fair.
So I don't think I could do that.
Yes, they did.
They good people there in Fishers.
Yeah.
I am calling for a Tucson Sugar Skulls Arizona Rattlers finals championship game in Tucson this year. It's an all Arizona finals. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Do you know how playoffs work, Randy? Do you know how conferences are set up?
No,
they're in the same conference.
Tell me all about that.
This is like saying the Lions and Giants are going to make it into the Super Bowl. That's the energy you just... Fun fact, as a child, I was given a book by my father that had the Lions play the Giants in the Super Bowl. That's a true story. I have that book somewhere.
Okay, I'm going to change my... Okay, I'm looking at the...
If you want to stick with that pick, Randy, I mean, we can do it. I'm just going to tell you now you're wrong.
Now. I see my mistake. Okay, here we go. I say Fisher's Freight versus Tucson. There you go.
Oh, house divided. Yes, please. Let's go.
And Trey, I assume you're still sticking with Tulsa versus Vegas as your final matchup.
I think so. Yeah, both teams look really good. I think both teams are set up very similarly with a dual threat quarterback that can absolutely scorch you on the ground while making big plays through the air with defenses that can come up with stops when they need them. I still like Vegas and Tulsa. Like you said, Jacksonville has played outstanding defense, and the offense is finally catching up. Arizona Bay Area, those teams are looking like the class of the IFL as they usually are. So it's great to be able to be at this point of a season where you can make a legitimate case for 8 or 9 of the 14 teams to win the championship, and that's super exciting for the back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you just go through those standings. A lot of these teams, that if you just even look at the top 4 of each conference, I'm like, I would like to see any matchup of these 8 teams. Like they got a lot going for them, I think, and the IFL has been really good about keeping that kind of level of competition up as high as they have. And like I said, I'm kind of also rooting for some Quad City, Green Bay kerfuffles down the line. I'm actually anxious to see them go head to head again.
Yeah, I think if you were to get that matchup, the home team will definitely be favored in it. I don't think Quad City has ever won in Green Bay. And anytime Green Bay goes to Quad City, it's an absolute slugfest. So those games would be very, very fun, and it could present some interesting storylines along the way.
Yeah. When you look at those 3 teams geographically, I mean, Quad City, Green Bay, and Iowa, I mean, they're like right there together. So that makes for a great rivalry between the 3 of them. Sometimes you get 2 teams that are close together, but right there you've got 3 teams geographically close together, and that's making for some good games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got a little pocket of teams in the Midwest there. You got a pocket of teams in Arizona. Like you got these little pockets coming together as one league. It's a pretty interesting way that they have it set up.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
and
I actually have a question for you guys.
Uh-oh.
So I know you guys are big uniform guys. big uniform. Love a good uniform. What has been your favorite uniform of the year so far that you've seen in the IFL?
Boy, that's a tough one. I mean, just standard uniform. I mean, I have been very partial to the Fisher's Freight uniform, not going to lie. And I know you, on your live stream the other night, Trey, on the turf tapes, you guys were bringing up uniforms, and you were mentioning, maybe you were asking the question, does Fisher's have too many stripes?
Yes.
Too many stripes up here. And I was thinking about it, I was like, is it too many stripes? And I was like, nah, Trey's crazy. I think it's the perfect amount of stripes.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But I love that I felt like the last few weeks we've been seeing teams rolling out these like alternate uniforms. Like Watt City just did like we're halfway to Halloween uniforms, and those were kind of cool. Thought they were weird with the helmet, the gold helmet, the purple jersey, but whatever, cool uniforms. I did kind of dig the and it's the hippie in me a little bit. The Jacksonville Sharks tie-dye uniforms the other day. I thought those were pretty nifty. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Because I saw them firsthand, the Fisher's Freight is my favorite uniform, the color scheme, and that field. I mean, I don't think TV does the field justice, but when you're there and you see that field of theirs, the kind of bluish, silverish, combination of colors, it was just absolutely gorgeous. It was the best field I've seen in a long, long time. It was immaculate.
So that leads into the next question then. What is your favorite field, Trey? I mean, Randy just went there. What's your favorite field so far this year?
Favorite field.
You didn't think you were gonna get that question today.
No, that's a curveball. I gotta say, I like the Tulsa black field, but they never get the color balance right when you're watching it on TV. So it's either way too dark or way too light. But I really like Massachusetts. They have like that purplish field with the seafoam green end zone. I think it really pops, especially when they're wearing like the their all purplish blue get up with that turquoise helmet. Like, it looks really cool, especially when you have somebody coming in with like their own unique color scheme. Those colors just pop, and it catches your eye where you're like, what is happening right now? A purple and green field. Okay,
yeah,
let's go.
That one definitely catches. Yeah, that's definitely up there. That Massachusetts Pirates field, but I guess also biasly, I really do like Fisher's. Maybe it's because I got to stand on it, got to look at it firsthand, feel how gorgeous it was. Yes, it feels gorgeous, just as much as it looks gorgeous. I'm gonna stick with Fisher's. It's my favorite field.
And that was a brand new field, because I asked the guy that was our host there. I said, "Is this a repurposed field? Was it somebody else's field that you did?" He says, "Nope, this is a brand new field. Nobody's played on it but us. This is our field." And it looked like it just came off the showroom floor, so it was gorgeous.
All right. Any other questions, Randy? What else you want to talk about? You want to talk about the favorite pants in the league? Do you want to talk about our favorite helmet so far this year? Mascots,
shoes.
Randy, what questions you got?
We want to talk about shoes. No, I don't want to talk about shoes. I just wanted to ask Trey, have there been any rumors or rumbles about any expansion for this league? They got 14 right now. I think they had 14 last year. So do you think they're set at 14 for a while, or have you heard anything about any possible expansion cities or teams?
It seems like expansion is definitely something that's going to happen with the IFL. Probably with some of the other leagues too. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some teams potentially go from one league to another. I don't know which way at this point, but I think we talked about this on the preseason show, where the formula for expansion for the IFL, I think they've got it down at this point. Where you look at a team like Fisher's, you look at a team like Tulsa, they're spinoffs of ECHL teams where they already have a foundation set up. So it's easy for Fisher's to just it's like being an add-on to a house instead of building a whole brand new house, right? So you already have the bones of it there. You're just turning that marketing and logistics machine that you already have for hockey into something in the hockey off season. So I think that's something to really keep an eye on. Take a look at some of the ECHL markets and look where current teams are not in the IFL. And I think that's a good way to put it. Commissioner Tryon has alluded to expanding in the Southeast. If you look at some of the ECHL teams in the Southeast, one just got announced in Greenville. I believe they're the Greenville Gargoyles in South Carolina. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. I think something that's very interesting, considering you guys are a little bit more in tune with what's happening in the AF1. Guess what city also has an ECHL team? Orlando.
I was gonna say, was it Orlando? That tracks.
That's interesting to think about. Where the way the Orlando situation went down, the Predators share an arena with that same ECHL team. Kind of makes you think. All right, the formula's there. That could be something that you see. So I think some of the teams that were dormant from last year have a chance of coming back to the team formerly known as Duke City. I don't know if they'll still be Duke City going forward, but they branded themselves as ABQ football. So a brand new rebrand's probably coming. It looks like they'll be back. Sioux Falls seems like they were on the come up. Might have hit a couple speed bumps along the way. So if I had to guess, I would imagine you see the Albuquerque team back. You see a new expansion team in the Southeast to help out with Jacksonville. Then maybe Sioux Falls getting back into the mix. But you never know. Like we could see teams go from one league to the other to this one to that one. Like it's a circus every offseason.
Yeah. I mean, there was the mention of the Buffalo Destroyers coming to the IFL maybe next year. So we'll have to wait and see if that pans out. I mean, we got to know, we know the gentleman, Del Reed, who came up or helped design the logo for the new iteration of the Buffalo Destroyers. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. That's the one I'm excited about, if they actually get to play next year. But we'll see how that all comes together.
I wouldn't hold your breath personally. I think it's a good dream, but some of the steam behind that has fallen off.
Okay,
so
I haven't heard that yet. Okay,
it's something where it's like that would be so sweet. It would help out geographically, but I don't see it happening for next year. Maybe beyond, but definitely not a 2026 thing.
Yeah,
I think Trey from Off the Wall, crusher of dreams. Everybody, thank you, Trey, for appearing on another episode here.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, Trey, having little pockets of teams in different areas, I think that's a good thing for a league like the Indoor Football League and Arena Football 1, where the travel costs are not as much, and you've got those built-in rivalries. Especially Arizona, you got 3 teams in the state. That's just an automatic rivalry right there. So yeah, that would be a good thing to put them strategically near other teams that are already out there.
Yeah, because you think of Arizona, right? Like the Rattlers are in Glendale, which is a burb of Phoenix.
Right.
To get to Prescott Valley, it's like an hour and a half.
Right. You
don't have to rent a hotel. You just have to hop on a bus, go up, play the game, hop on a bus, go back. Players are in their bed.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tucson.
Yep.
It's a 2.5 hour drive. No hotel. Hop on a bus, go down, play, come back. Like it's so much easier when you have those busable games, and when you're having to travel 2,000-3,000 miles for a game, it's just like, oh my god, it's just brutal at this level.
Yeah, I've been to all 3 of those cities, and I know it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours between each one of them, and it's just a quick ride through the desert.
Yeah, nothing to it.
All right. Any other questions, Dad, or did you ask all the uniform questions you had on your notepad?
I'm good. We'll save the shoe talk for next time.
Okay, shoe talk will be next time then. Prepare yourself, Trey. You know what to look out for now when you're having your 13 screens up at a single time. That's a lot of shoes to keep track of.
Yeah, we'll call it the cleat corner. There you go.
There you go.
Oh boy, wow. Write that one down. Shoot.
Cleat corner.
Cleat corner.
Cleat week.
Cleat
we
week.
We got all sorts of options here. Cleat corner. Got it.
And I would be reminiscent, Trey. I would be kicking myself if I didn't at least get to mention this. You had a great tweet a couple weeks ago about how these indoor/arena teams should be getting more fan engagement online. And you threw out the idea of, why don't you guys just throw up a QR code and do a virtual T-shirt toss? Well, then here I am, just doom scrolling through X the other night. And what do I see? I see a retweet of the San Antonio Gunslingers, who did exactly what you suggested. And I think, San Antonio should be sending you some swag for that brilliant idea of yours.
Listen, I entered the virtual T-shirt toss. If they want to rig the first one in my favor, I'm not going to be mad. Look, I'll be the champion for it. I'll say, look, this works. I got one. But yeah, it's something I thought about for a while, and I was like, why don't they do that? Like, you're already giving away shirts at a game. Like, I know the cost of shipping a shirt, it isn't free, but what's it going to be? $10? $12 maybe. Like it doesn't cost that much. Yeah. So it's something where I was like, why don't people do this? And I was like, you know what? I've been sitting on this for way too long. Let me just fire it off, throw it into the ecosystem, and people loved it. And obviously, teams loved it where they adopted it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more do it too.
Heck yeah. Off the wall, everybody. The idea machine for your arena or indoor franchise. Go hit him up. Slide into his DMs. Yeah. I'm sure he'll get you a very good idea to help promote your team. So
let's talk shop. Let's do it.
I mean, I seriously, like, I'll say this every time we get you on here. Your social media game is on point, Trey. I love it every time I open it up and I just see something new from you. I'm like, this guy gets it. I wish I could do what he does with social media. Speaking of, where can everybody find you across the social media landscape?
Yeah, across everything at Off the Wall. It is right here. Off the wall, but add FB. F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall, FB, across all socials. We're on Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you are on socials, I'm probably there. If you guys are holding out on a secret socials that I don't know about, let me in. Stop gatekeeping. Let me know where I should be. So slide my DMs like Adam said. And yeah, I love talking ball with anybody who wants to. I got some people reaching out to me. They're like, hey, I created an X account just to DM you and say what's up. I'm like, cool. Who's your favorite team? Let's talk. So I'm having some really, really cool conversations with people across all socials, and it's been a lot of fun. Also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the weekly show, Off the Wall. I got a new one dropping this week with the team from the Arena League, so dipping my toe in there. Oh. And then we've got the Turf Tapes live stream that we do. Not weekly, but every couple weeks as schedule permits. Had a really good one with Zach Keelman earlier this week between the Toronto Phantoms and the New York Dragons. An absolute banger of a game. Had a lot of fun talking shop with Zach on that.
Yep, that was a good one. I made sure to hop in the comments there a few times. You guys were gracious enough to throw my dumb comments up on the screen and talk about the stuff I put up there. So it's always a good time. When I get the time, I think I was doing dishes, so I had you guys up. I'm just sitting there scrubbing dishes, and then I'd be like, oh, they're talking uniforms. I got soapy hands. I had to wipe my hands off and type in my comment. So it was a fun time. I had a blast.
That's our number one demo. People doing household chores. We've done the product research. Yeah, that's our number one.
Yeah, and here's a comment from Dishpan Hands in Kalamazoo. He wants to know.
I think I'm going to change my X handle to that now. Thank you, Randy.
That's really good.
Dishpan Hands. All right. Maybe I'll just get that on the back of a jersey.
That's because he doesn't have a dishwasher. He is the dishwasher in his house.
Yeah, I am the dishwasher in this house. It's okay. It's okay. It gives me time to think about football and podcasting.
That's right. Yeah. It's your moment of zen. Yeah.
Trey, you've got so many good ideas. That should be on your business card. It should say Trey from Off the Wall, idea consultant or merch consultant.
Absolutely, yes.
And then take a percentage of everything they do.
Of course. What am I doing this for if I'm not taking a percentage, Randy? Come on now.
All right, Trey, this has been an absolute blast. I mean, we always enjoy having you on here. This won't be the last time we see you on our channel, I'm sure. And anytime you need a couple of schmoes to come on and talk arena football and watch a game with you, you know
Find
who
somebody else.
Wow, Randy, didn't see that coming.
As long as the game wraps up before 9 p.m., I can get Randy on, right?
That's also
right.
true.
Yeah,
and he's at his bathroom break before the stream starts.
Yeah.
I caught just a little bit of the Turf Tapes the other night. I had tons of things going on, but I did catch a little bit of it, and I'm like, oh, wow, 2001 Toronto Phantoms? I got to go back and watch it, because that looks like it was a great time. It looked like you were having a great time doing it.
It was so fun to watch, and I made a post on socials a little bit before I hopped on here with you guys. The people watching, that's an underrated part of the Turf Tapes, where you look into the crowd and you're like, what is happening?
You guys stopped at a couple points. Everybody should go check that episode. There's a couple of times where you stop and you pause at just the right moment on some guys' faces. I was just like, you look at these characters up there in Toronto.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like, it's a true time capsule of 2001. It's just everything about 2001 seemed to be personified in that crowd, and it was just incredible.
Especially when a certain NBA All-Star popped up on screen. I was like, okay, yeah, this is dating itself real hard.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
No, I saw I saw the Toronto Phantoms play in Grand Rapids, and that was the first time
nice.
that I had ever been at a game where they played the U.S. and the Canadian national anthems at a game. That was so strange. I
Oh,
mean, I'm sure they do that in hockey all the time. You know, if you go to even a
yeah.
minor league hockey game, if the team's from Canada, they'll do that. And both flags were already in the arena, but yeah, I distinctly remember. Wow, that's the first time I've been any place that they've, other than a game in Canada, where they played both the national anthems before.
Right. Yeah.
So that was
Because you
fun.
wouldn't catch
Yeah.
Randy dead at a hockey game. That it's not the world of
No.
hockey here. It's the world of
No.
football for a reason.
Well, we did go to a hockey game once. We went to the Grand Rapids Griffins game because they were giving
yeah,
out
just-
the Rampage championship rings at halftime, or one of that between a couple of the periods of the hockey game there. So yeah, we did
Yeah.
go to that. Got our picture taken with the Arena Bowl trophy.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you just need to be bribed with arena knickknacks in order to go to a hockey game.
Yes,
It's pretty simple.
That's
if
our
there's
MO, Trey.
if there's a football connection, we'll be there. It doesn't matter where, or when, or what.
That's fair.
All right, guys. We appreciate everybody out there for watching. You know how to get a hold of me and Randy. All that stuff's down in the description below. And obviously, Trey does great stuff over at Off the Wall. He gave you all the social plugs. They'll also be down in the description below. Go check out his stuff. It's been awesome, Trey. You've been just killing it over there with your 13 screens at a single time. I envy that sometimes, but at the same time, I don't think my brain could comprehend 13 games at a single time. As much as I love football.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not for the weak. You have to be
It is
strong-willed,
not for the
strong-minded. You've got to clear your mind. I listened to 37 seconds of static just to have a clean palate, so that when I go into it, I'm like, okay, I'm fully ready to take on what is about to be thrown my way.
Well, we're looking forward to your future posts, and we look forward to talking to you again. Probably around playoff time. When we get the playoff matchup set up, we'll probably have you back on, Trey, and
Definitely.
you can wax poetic again about the Indoor Football League and the great stuff they got going on. We appreciate you again, and everybody else, we'll see you next time.